Hey everyone, today we have Marco Benitez with us. Marco is a Taekwondo champion turned biomedical engineer turned CEO now building ROOK. ROOK is empowering health organizations including insurance companies, digital health companies, and pharmaceutical companies with structured wearable health data that they're providing through API. They're transforming what businesses and users can do with their health data. ROOK collects data from over 300 different wearables and focuses much of their time on preventative healthcare, looking to improve health longevity of its end users. Marco shared a lot of stories about how he got to building ROOK and shares lessons that he learned along the way from his early Taekwondo days to turning down a move to Switzerland and from his first venture in Mexico. Marco shares how far he thinks data integration can take us in the future, and it's really fascinating to hear him talk about what he thinks about data integration, what he thinks about preventative healthcare, and his vision for ROOK in the future. I hope you all enjoy this one. Hello, Marco. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Very excited to be here.
Yeah, likewise. I know we've been trying to plan this for a couple of weeks now, but I'm really glad
Same
that we're
time.
actually able to have this right now.
Definitely. Very excited. Thank you very much for this invitation.
Of course. Where are you calling in from today?
I'm in Miami. I live in Miami. So,
Oh, that's amazing.
yeah,
How long have you
yeah.
been there now?
1 year and a half, more or less.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a journey. I'm originally from Mexico, so it's a huge change for me, for my family, and for me.
Oh, absolutely. But I'm sure you're enjoying, the nice weather over there. Probably very similar to
Definitely.
home.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I love the weather. I love the food. I love the people. The people is so nice and very like you find everything. So it's really nice. It's really
Mm-hmm.
nice. I feel like
Yeah,
home, to be very honest.
that's fantastic. So, Mark, I would love to kick this off with your story. I have, done a bit of research on you. I've seen that you've tried different things in the past, starting with
Yeah.
Taekwondo. Would love to hear the full story, what you started off doing and how you ended up where you are right now.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, my journey, I'm a typical guy, nothing extraordinary in terms of, achievements. I'm from Mexico. I born in and raised in Mexico City and then moved to Cuernavaca, which is a little town near from Mexico City. Um, Start my in Taekwondo. My parents all the time, they were very strict in terms of scheduling the Taekwondo, exercise. Love Taekwondo. I'm black belt or Dan. A lot of tournaments. I was very good. To be very honest, I was very good. I was in the different tournaments. I win normally in first place. So for me, it was very special. Taekwondo helped me a lot to improve my skills of, be very perseverant, discipline. For me, that's everything. Execution, it's everything. It doesn't matter if you have a good skill or bad skill. At the end of the day, the more important thing is that you have to be very disciplined with everything. Go to your classes every single time. It doesn't matter because I have my classes was in the morning and in the nights. Was Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So yeah, then for me was very interesting that front. Again, that helped me a lot to improve my skills in terms of structure, be very, perseverant in everything. Then,
Mm-hmm.
but then I get in that moment when you have to decide which career you want to take. And I was between, be a physician, be an engineer. My father is an engineer. Um, and then go to the path of sports and join more seriously in terms of taekwondo. My young answer was I want that someone call me at some point engineer Marco Antonio. At the end of it, that doesn't matter for me right now. It's like it's very crazy because for me on that in that moment was very important that I finish my career and be an engineer and work in a big company, That was my thoughts on those days, or build my own company. So yeah, I start to work. So I start to my career in biomedical engineer. I love it, love it. Was super interesting because I have the opportunity to learn different, things from science, physicians, mathematics. I love mathematics, by the way. I really love it. Mathematics for me, it's everything because that helps you to structure your mind in a very different way. Um, and something important that I also learned in the career in my university was like if you understand that network it's everything and the relationship with people it's everything, you will nail it. That's everything that I learned in the university.
Hmm.
That if you build very good relationships, that will help you to improve, your career, and that will help you to improve everything. Because my teachers, they helped me to move to the next level. In fact, the first teacher, he invested in my first company,
Oh,
and the
wow.
people that right now it's with me in my company, it's people that I those guys were my friends in the university. So again, if you build a very good relationship, a really good network community, they will help you to improve and give you, and you can go to the next level. So for me, it was very interesting that front. I learned that when I had 18 years. Then when I was like in 2003 or four, we create our first company. In fact, one of my actual co-founders was my co-founder in those days.
Hmm.
And we built something called Get Salud, which was like we create an algorithm for hospitals, and we get an exit in 2006. But on those days, in 2003, 2006, everything was built on top of friends and families and people who believe in you that help you to put a little money to start to build. My parents, the parents of my friend, a teacher also that gave us some money to start to build Get Salud. And that helped me a lot because for me it was very important to start to build something from the scratch. And we have a lot of meetings between each other, all the team, and then start to put everything with the companies and with hospitals. So it was very, very interesting. I love those days. Then because on those days I was living with Dan, we lived together in an apartment. So it was very funny because we have the complete, thing. We were living together, studying together, going partying together. So we know each other very well, very, very well. Was
Hmm.
was super was good days on those days. Um, then yeah, not sure if you have any question here.
No, not at all. But it's super interesting to just hear about your journey early on, right? Like your taekwondo and the discipline you learned out of that. And then, secondly, the network you were able to build in university and how that has really been, the fuel that you needed to actually get your first company off the ground and then start your second company as well.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Well, in the
Hmm.
middle between one company and the other, once we get the exit, we finish our university, then start to make a second degree in biomedics. He focused a lot in machine learning. On those days, you never heard something about artificial intelligence, was
Hmm.
more, machine learning and different type of stuff. He started to create more engagement in that front, and he learned a lot of stuff. For me, it was more focused on enterprises. So for me, it was very interesting to learn more about big pharma.
Yep.
And why big pharma? Mainly because was for me, clinical trials was something very interesting. There is a lot of money in clinical trials, and I really want to understand how does that process work since the beginning, since the ideation, since
Hmm.
the how they start to make a protocol in terms of clinical trial. So was huge experience over there. I had the opportunity to work in these big enterprises like Roche, Novartis, GSK. So for me, it was like again, one important thing is structure. These enterprises are big, are old, definitely, but at the same time, they have very good structure.
Yep.
All the organigram, not only that, they have, a lot of documentation, how to structure everything. So for me that was very interesting. Secondly, is how do you start an idea, how do you try to create a molecule and start to build on top of that. Clinical trials, it's super complex, very expensive. It's very expensive. And when you work in that front, now you understand why the drugs are very expensive. They need to
It's a
invest.
lot of steps for sure
It's
to
a
actually
lot of
get something.
steps. Phase one, pre-clinical trials, then phase one, phase two, phase four. It's a lot of research. It's a lot. So I had the opportunity to work in all these phases, and my last job was in Roche as the head of medical affairs for
Mhm.
Latin America and part of the US. Huge experience. And something that I learned was that when you have a lot of data, you can create things, and again, you can improve people's lives. That's why we started to build Rook. On those days, I was also I they were trying to hire me in Basel in Switzerland, but at the same time, we were building Rook Motion, which
Mhm.
is the previous of what we have right now. And I was back and forth to Switzerland, between Switzerland and Mexico. And there was one day when we returned from Switzerland, and my wife told me, "Why you are not so happy? Because we are almost going to Switzerland and build a new everything, and you will have your dream job in Switzerland." And I was, because to be very honest, that's not my dream job. My dream job is to create my own company. And she was like crying at that point, and she told me, "Do whatever you want and do what makes you happy." And that changed everything. The next day, I went with my boss and told him like, "Hey, I'm off. I need to create my own company." And he was like, "What? It took 1 year just to build this thing with Switzerland and and move to over there. What's going on? Tell me more." And I started to talk about my company and what we were building about Rook Motion, and yeah, and then the next day, I was like, okay, I need to move to my company, and it took like a month and was a lot of processes over there. It was very interesting. But at the end of the day, I start to build Rook in 2018 with my well, at the very beginning with two of my co-founders, Daniel and Jose Esquivel. And it was very interesting because what we built before it was a complete different business model. Was something for to see the effort zone, calorie burn in real time in the fitness centers. So for us was we are builders. We know how to code. We know how to create things from the scratch, and was a huge need over there because one fitness center came to us and told us like, "Hey, you are biomedical engineers. Probably you can build this." Was a very good friend of Daniel, and we start to build that from scratch. So we create this platform, and then we start to see that other fitness centers want the same thing. And we say, okay, we have something very interesting here. Let's continue building. And we create this SaaS platform for them. Was a very basic, where you can see your calorie burn effort zones in the screen. At the very beginning was a Frankenstein, was
Yep.
awful, a lot of bugs, a lot of problems. But at the end of the day, the fitness centers were very like, hey, I love it. You have a lot of troubles, definitely. Definitely, you have a lot of troubles, but I love it. I remember having conversations with these fitness centers at 5, 4 a.m. in the morning because fitness centers never sleep. They start very early and close very late.
Mhm.
So, and because we have a lot of bugs and a lot of problems, they call us all the time. So we were like, oh man, this is never going to stop. But every single time I have something in my mind was like I'm very like persistent. That's where Taekwondo helped me a lot because Taekwondo showed me that if you are very persistent, very disciplined, and you work every single day of life and you do
Hmm.
whatever you want, but a lot of passion, you are going to make it and you are going to be in that place. So for me it was okay, let's build it, let's continue. I know we have a lot of troubles, talk with the clients, understand the situation, be empathic with them. For me, empathic is just very important.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that, it seems like all of your experiences kind of came together with Rook Motion where, you had already this interest in fitness and you're directly working with fitness companies on
Yeah.
something that, can actually help people improve their health. And on top of that, you spoke a lot about the discipline that you learned in Taekwondo and being an early stage startup founder with not really much and just trying to build software as you go, talking to your potential clients and customers as well and just trying to figure it out. You need a lot of dedication in that front. And you being in a position where you're working with your team but also trying to sell, you really need to have that persistence to try to keep selling and have that momentum going and not lose that traction to actually get where you are right now.
Yeah.
Tell me about the time or tell me about when Brook Motion really transitioned to what you're building right now.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a very good point. Well, pandemic hits. Pandemic changed everything. We were raising before money was very tough. However, we find money, and that's where when we start to hire very good people. Definitely, we start to build something more robust in terms of the platform of Rook Motion. But then the pandemic hits, and then we have a very good meeting with someone in the insurance with an insurance company, and she told us like she has a huge network in the insurance companies. She worked for Blue Cross Blue Shield and other big companies
Mm-hmm.
because she is an insurtech. And she told me like, hey, what you have here with Rook Motion, it's very interesting. Is there any way we can integrate your ability to extract information from the end users and start to analyze and because we have an engagement platform and we want to learn a little bit more about the end users. And we something I didn't tell you. During the pandemics, in the way that we were trying to iterate everything, we find that the end user doesn't want to use our heart rate monitors because they already have different wearables. So we
Mm-hmm.
start to integrate wearables in our own platform. And then I can go back to that conversation, and she told us because we were trying to integrate wearables and we can't do it because it's very difficult and we have to maintain those integrations. And we were okay. We know that problem. We know that it's very difficult to integrate wearables. And she told us, if you can make it, you have something where I can pull this data, I can buy what you have.
Mm-hmm.
And we were okay. Are you saying that you can pay an upfront payment and then we can start building this? And she told us yes. Okay, let's close the contract. She was like very keen to make it. She paid an upfront payment, and we say, okay, that's interesting. And then we
Mm-hmm.
start to talk with different like insurance companies, digital health platforms, fitness apps, and everyone was very keen to integrate wearables. And we were okay. Let's try and let's find more about this. Then we put this idea with Techstars and we joined Techstars with this idea. We didn't have a product on those days. We just have like the idea and a very cool presentation. Well, cool presentation, right?
That's all you need.
All you need. Um, and then Techstars accept us, and during Techstars we have something called Mentor Matters, which was amazing for me. You have 100 calls, speed dating. You have to pitch your idea with different advisors, investors, potential clients. Was really amazing. I love Techstars, by the
Mm-hmm.
way. I know that not everyone is very like, hey, Techstars, but for me, Techstars was a game changer. Huge way to create network that I love. I love the network. but Techstars really helped me. And then we learn a lot from digital health. We learn a lot of fitness. We learn a lot of insurance companies that really want to pull this data. And we were like, okay, let's build this API with the letters of intentions, with the contract that we signed, with the upfront payments. Let's do it. And also, let's try to raise money. I never, it was my first time trying to raise money with institutional investors. And for me, it was amazing because it was like, I'm scared because I never talked with an investor. My previous investors were friends and families. Was difficult, definitely. Definitely was difficult. But at the end of the day, we're friends. And I have this chance to be very honest with them. Of course, we are honest with our actual investors, but it's what's different because I built before a relationship with my previous investors. With these ones, it's completely different.
Just more transactional.
It's transactional, but at the end of the day, you know what? It's the same thing. You have to build the relationship with your investor. In fact, today, I have a great relationship with all of them. I love my investors. I truly tell you that I love my investors. I really like to have conversations with them. They know a lot of stuff. They are great people that have experience in different areas and really bring me a lot of value. That being said, we raised 2 million in this pre-seed round. Was amazing. We had a lot of luck. I always say it's luck. Believe me. My first investor, the name is Brad Greenwald, was my first call. My first call after Techstars. And because we built a very good relationship with one advisor in Techstars, he was like, hey, these guys are going to they are going to make it. And that introduction helped me. Brad come to the call and he told us, guys, I love what you have. Give me some time. Let me figure out if I can invest. And then the same day, he told us, I'm going to invest. And we were, what? What happened? Was the first call? Was lucky. And he had a very good network. So he helped us to build this relationship with this rapport and everything with the whole network. Was very difficult, to be very honest, because the first 200 was relatively easy. But the next chunk was super tough because remember that we were in pandemic. So we were in the pandemic moment, and it wasn't very not good time. Was very difficult to raise. A lot of companies were like, okay, we are going to survive or not. A lot of VCs were trying to put more money in the startups that are potentially going to die because they didn't have the opportunity to raise more money. So it was very difficult. So the first 200 was very difficult, but at the same time, we built very good relationship with the whole network of Techstars, and they really help us. One of our advisors, Scott, make this intro with this huge VC, and they help us to raise 1 million just with those, and then the other million came alone. So, but again, was very tough, was very difficult market. We raised the money in 2023, which was so difficult. The money was like, anyone was like, deploying the money. So we raised the money. We started to build this API with a lot of, now with talent people that we know each other. By the way, the team that we have right now, it's amazing. Believe me. All my investors are like, why you don't have this, layoffs and turn and what? Everyone is like on spot. All the developers are working all the time. They love what we are building. They know the impact that we are doing with the people. It's like the culture that we made is like we have to be the best of the best. And it's like I don't know how to say it, but it's like everyone once we are together, they don't want to go to any other part. In fact, some of them are very strong and very hard, but the culture that we have right now, it's like everyone wants to be the best in their own field. So with that, we are building something very interesting with our clients, of course.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of things clicked, at the right time. The first thing I noticed is you said you were first building SaaS with Rook Motion, and now it almost sounds like your company's a data science company rather than anything else. It is a data science company.
It is.
Having that conversation with Blue Cross Blue Shield, to your point, having that network is super important where you can have these conversations and people can open doors for these kind of conversations. But it almost sounds like you guys were at the right place at the right time to get, that opportunity and just open more of those doors. And then joining Techstars, I personally have experience with being in multiple accelerators as well, right? Like they are very helpful. It's as much as you put in is really what you get out of it. And the fact that you were able to get, those letters of intent, try to pitch to different institutional investors and also get feedback on what you're building in such a short amount of time. And I believe Techstars is just a couple of months, right? 2 or 3 months.
3 months.
Yeah, super helpful to be able to do all of that. My question for you right now is more about what's Rook doing right now. So as a data science company, you're collecting data from different wearable devices. My first question is, how many wearable devices have you connected? And my second question is more about what you're doing with that data. Is this personalizing or giving insights for each person? Or would this be more towards creating new data?
Yeah, I will say everything is right. Yeah, well, first of all, we have more than 300 wearables integrated already between wearables and medical devices. Because the background that we have with medical devices and health, we have the ability and we know how to integrate those medical devices. Our previous job also we have this we know how to do it, and now we are building that with medical devices. It's difficult, but we have that experience. So that's very interesting. But the most important thing is the data. I love data again. It's the new oil. Data is the new oil, but the problem is that you have to put it in a very structured way. You have to harmonize you have to standardize, you have to take out the duplicity, you have to do a lot of things with the data. So we build our own algorithms to make it that possible. So we have our own AI. I don't want to use AI. I hate to use it, but
it's such an overly used term.
Yeah, exactly. But we are using it it's our own. So because we have a lot of data, so now we can create different type of algorithms. The things that we are building right now, it's trying to build more data with the data that we have for those companies, for the digital health platforms, for example. We are trying to bring more insights and predictions for the end users. That was our first hypothesis, that some companies only need this. They want to bring more alarms about the end user and try to figure out how can they help them before they have the problem, problem. Because at the very end, we are very focused with Medicine 3.0, which is more preventive rather than reactive. So we are in the preventive side. That's why also we are pulled information from medical devices. And then we can structure the data in a way that we can show those alarms about the end users. So we are building a lot of that. But that, again, you have a lot of diseases. It's like the big pharma show me. Which diseases you want to focus? Because it's not the same thing with oncology, with people with diabetes, or people with hypertension, or obesity, or, so there's a lot of diseases outside. So you need to focus a lot in one type of disease. So with our clients, we are building this information. So they ask us like, hey, for me, A, B, C, D are the most important things that we need to build. So we start to build on top of that. Definitely we have the team, definitely we have the data, definitely we have those machine learnings that can help us to improve that data, but that's once we have this information from our clients. Because at the very beginning, the thing that were building was a mess because we were building on top of the things that we thought that they need. But that's the bigger mistake anyone can make. You have to ask a more
Mm-hmm.
proactive way and work with your clients, work with or your potential clients on those insights and prediction or any feature. You have to work with your client. So yeah, definitely. We are
Mm-hmm.
working on top of predictions, insights about the end user, and also for the B2B side, some things they need for in terms of data.
Mm-hmm. So just to summarize a little bit, your
Mm-hmm.
biggest clients right now are insurance companies and digital health companies. So you're
Yeah,
trying to sell, this platform B2B with the hopes that either it helps the business itself and
yeah,
it also helps the end users, and you're focused on preventative healthcare. From your experiences, obviously talking to the businesses that you're working with and understanding what they need before actually just providing a solution is much more helpful. It's also going to save you a ton of time. You said that
yeah.
you focus on specific types of diseases. I have two questions for you. So my first question is, which areas of healthcare, and you said preventative healthcare, but let's dive a little bit deeper into that. So which areas of preventative healthcare do you feel can benefit the most from this kind of data integration right now? And the
Mm-hmm.
second question is, you've mentioned talking to your clients about what they need and building it for that. How do you as a company decide if the data you're providing is too much or too little? And I ask this because one of the areas that I think there is a lot of fear about is in healthcare, there's so much data being generated
Yeah,
and a lot of it's not even being used.
yeah.
So what stops us from getting to the point where there's just so much data that it's actually damaging the health system rather than improving it? And how do you think about that?
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah. Um, because of my background, I love chronic diseases.
Mm-hmm.
I love, well, no, I don't love it, but at the end of the day, it's very interesting. Hypertension, obesity, diabetes, for me, they are there are diseases that you can really, really help and be very preventive. Heart attacks, for
Mm-hmm.
example. You can build
Yeah.
very good habits since the beginning. You have to start this type of habits when you have 14 years, 13 years. You can build it right now, definitely, definitely. But this is something that you have to learn, and you have to pass through your kids, and it's everything changes when you start to do it differently. So those are some diseases I really liked. But oncology, surprisingly, this is something that also we are working a lot with oncology. Yeah, mainly I would say that those diseases are the most important ones. Also, we are working with big pharma, and with big
Mm-hmm.
pharma, they are using a little bit more for vaccines. So vaccines right now they need information in a very specific times, like HRV, temperature, blood pressure. So those are the ones that we are working on. And vaccines, it's a lot. You have a lot of diseases over there.
Right. Would that be for vaccine development or
Yeah,
for
vaccine
something?
development.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Gotcha.
development. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, to your point, chronic diseases is, becoming such a burden on healthcare systems, especially
yeah.
in, the Western world and more developed countries as well. It is the biggest source of cost and it's only increasing as population ages. So interesting that you guys are focused on that, to begin. How far can data integration actually take us? So can you imagine a world where we have enough information about a person to essentially predict what kind of diseases they would have long term? And let's even think a step further. Can we predict how far a whole generation can be in terms of their healthcare?
I think that's the idea.
Mm-hmm.
That's the whole idea. There is a lot of companies now that are trying to integrate more data, not only wearables. In fact, we work a lot with them. We work with big company named Databand. They have a lot of huge data, and they are trying to help in that front and try to bring this information to big pharma because they have more information, so they have a landscaping even more broad. So definitely, yes, we are trying to build something where you can recognize or you can see that you have potentially some type of diseases since the very beginning. Imagine someone who born and already know which type of what type of diseases they can have, and you
Mm-hmm.
can start to make some preventions. So if you have that information, could be very interesting. I know there is a lot of problems when you have this type of information and these details. But again, in to your point, it's like if you have this information, you can build better people, better habits, and the health per se is going to be completely different.
Hmm.
Completely different.
Yeah, it would be a total game changer for longevity, right? If we can predict off the bat, right, like what conditions people are at most risk of, prevent them before they actually happen. It
Yeah,
would not only help, the people who we have the data for, but also the health systems and just help manage that burden.
and and that's why we love to work with insurance companies.
Hmm.
Insurance companies, believe me, they have a lot of data, and really, I think they can really move the needle,
Hmm.
and they can help us to be, longevity is the new term. I love it, by the way, because it's how you can have a better life in the long term. Yeah, right.
For sure.
So they really can help, and they can push something called CPT codes with, well, it's a huge explanation over there, but definitely they can move the needles because at the end of the day, this world move in terms of money,
Hmm.
unfortunately. But if they can push that and bring more habits, better habits, less sickness, we can build something more important with all the data that they already have. In fact, at this point, some of them are trying to understand the huge data that they have, because some of that data have a lot of noise, some other not. But now with the new technology, with these new wearables, I mean, we are in the era of the wearables and medical devices where now it's a lot of, they are very accurate, very
Hmm.
accurate. Some of them already have FDA approval. So
Definitely.
that's massive. 10 years ago was completely different. These wearables. I'm a geek of wearables. By the way, I have everything
Yeah, I
in
see a ton on you
my
actually.
I have everything in my body, but
Hmm.
I love them. I really love them. So we can
Yeah.
do a lot with that data.
For sure. I did want to circle back to my previous question about,
Yeah.
how much data is too much data, especially when the clients are requesting it, and how do you make sure that you're actually benefiting whatever they're trying to build and not
Mhm.
creating essentially a data overload? How do you think about that?
That depends. I can tell you there was a big company in the fitness. I can tell the name, but they told us we have a lot of data and we don't know what to do with this data. If you bring me more data, it's going to be a problem for me. And was a very good insight for us,
Mhm.
because we were like, okay, what do? We bring more data, more, reliable data, more, transparent data, or do we bring insights from that data?
Mhm.
That was a very interesting call. By the way, we still continue to have these conversations with them because they are very insightful every single time that we have these conversations. But with insurance companies and digital health, it's a little bit different because they are really trying to understand the data. So if they have more data, they can put this information to their own algorithms, and they now are trying to compare the data they had before with the new data, so they can make more realistic picture of the end user. So I will say for now,
Mhm.
it's a very difficult question, because the experts will tell you like, I need more data so I can now put one versus the other and try to make something else. But you have other companies that will tell you, okay, I only need this information for me because that's the important thing that we have for our business model. So that depends. I can bring all the information on or only steps, for example, and they
Mhm.
only need anti-cheat steps. Okay, that's perfect. I can bring that to you because for your business model makes sense. But for other companies, they are looking for the broad and more information to make, bring both type of information from the past and from now.
Mhm. Yeah. I think that makes a lot of sense. I did have a question about just data privacy. So
Hmm.
if you're working with digital health,
Hmm.
with their end users being people using wearable devices, it makes sense that their users are sharing their wearable data with the digital health companies. So
Hmm.
this question is more specific towards insurance companies.
Hmm.
Have you faced any challenges with insurance companies and users just being, the general population not wanting to share that data? And, how do you really look at that situation?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I think that's a very important question. Um, First of all, we are HIPAA compliant, GDPR compliant. We are SOC 2, SOC 2 compliant,
Hmm.
SOC 2 ready, sorry. And for now, we don't see a lot of stopper in that front. It's like, not sure if you are using Waze or Google, that brings you something to you. You are
Hmm.
sharing a lot of data, and they sell that data in an anonymized way, in a very specific way. But they are using that data to bring you more information. Cookies in the web, they bring you more. For I love cookies, for example. I love
Yep,
that I receive a very personalized things and sell me something very personalized. I
for
love
sure.
it. Very customized. For now, with insurance companies, we didn't see any problems for now. For
Hmm.
now, we are trying to take care very so we are investing a lot of money on that front because we know could be and it's a problem right now. It's now with whom you are going to share your data. These insurance companies, the way they are using the information, they are very clear. It's like the insurance companies, the insurance for your car right now. You can share your data on how you are using your car, and with that they give you discounts. It's the same way.
Hmm.
They are using via the same way, but with insurance companies in terms of health, they are using for engagement, and they bring you more, videos for do exercises or discounts in fitness centers, which I think is great. They are trying to change the behavior of the people. At the end of the day, it's like with money, maybe can help to give. If I give you discounts, maybe you can start doing some exercise, which is great.
Hmm.
Um, well, at least for me, works for me a lot. I
Yeah,
love to do exercise, and if
it's just a
someone
form of
give me,
motivation.
it's a motivation exactly.
Hmm.
So for now, answer your question, no. For now, no. We receive a lot of audits from them, and at this point, we didn't have any kind of trouble. And with the end user, also, they are very willing to share the data.
Hmm. That's pretty good to hear. I
Yeah.
did want to shift gears a little bit. You spoke a lot about, having already fundraised for 2 million, already having a kick-ass team that's been working on the product development and a ton of different clients that you guys already have. My first question was more about, how you're prioritizing what you're doing right now, which is deciding between generating revenue with your existing clients and also working on the product development. Given that you guys just raised, how are you balancing where that money's really going right now?
Yeah. Yeah. Building the product, it's everything.
Hmm.
But the build the product with the clients, there is an alignment. So we are in every single call. At this point where we are right now, we have this opportunity to be with a client and go during the whole path, bring in a lot of feedback, and then go back with the product team. So we have that opportunity, and it's gold. For
Hmm.
now, we love that part. And so we are, for me, sales and product is the same. By the way, the guy that we have and as a head of growth, it's also very good related with the product team. So everyone is product. We are a product-led growth company.
Hmm.
So the main core is the product, and with that we can build everything. So the communication between our clients or also the investors. So we have a lot of information from everywhere, and we bring together and put it in our roadmap. So
Hmm.
everything is very well related, and the time spent with in terms of product and client is the same. So
Yeah,
yeah.
that's super amazing to hear. Follow question on that. So you say that product and sales, are really aligned inside your industry. So given that your company already has different types of clients, right? Like probably
Mhm.
asking for different things, how do you structure the company for sales and then the actual development as well.
Yeah, again, yeah, it's a very interesting and it's a game. We have a roadmap. Definitely, we have a roadmap on top of the things that the client need. So we have a very deep conversations with clients and trying to figure out if the same feature will help the other clients. And then we can take some decisions inside the company and we build the roadmap. Definitely, we have to be very flexible. A good characteristic of a company or a startup is be flexible. And we need to take what we have from outside and build what they really need, but because that will help us to improve our product and build, the revenue. At the end of the day, it's all about that. Yeah. So we are a company. So yeah, it's like we need to, we are very aligned on that front. We create the roadmap on top of that, basically.
And in terms of, actually marketing and selling, I've seen that Rook's been attending a lot of different conferences. How has that been as a sales lead? And are you looking at any sort of other marketing? Essentially, I just want to know whether marketing works better for Rook as an outbound marketing or rather inbound.
Yeah, it's a very good question. Definitely Jonas will tell you a little bit more about that. But I will say that it's because of my nature. I love networking. I love networking. I love the community. That's why we are in all these events. I really love to make connections with people because company is not a company without the people. I'm a fan of people first. So I love to go to those events because basically you can build something with them and you learn, you have more time to speak with those guys. Definitely, I love this new way of do video conference of 30 minutes and try to explain everything. But at the end of the day, you are building something with your client and you will have a relationship with the client. If you build, you create this trust both ways, there is going to be a win-win. So for us, I will say that for now, it works very well to have this, this build relationship in the events, but also we have other ways. We are building, a blog. That blog helps us a lot to our clients or potential clients to understand what we are building, because also we are building something very abstract. So yeah, definitely for us, I will say that the events have been very interesting and that help us a lot to bring more clients to the what we are building.
Absolutely. And I'm super excited to see, Rook's journey going forward and seeing what you guys build and hearing more about you at different conferences and hopefully have you on the podcast in the future date to talk about your progress as well.
I would love to.
My last question for you would just be, what's the best way for anyone listening to this to reach out to you if they would like to?
Yeah, definitely. Please reach out to me via email, LinkedIn, whatever. In my email is marco@tryrook.io, or LinkedIn, Marco Benitez, Marco Antonio Benitez. Please reach out to me. I love to talk with people and try to do something together. Definitely. Please.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for taking the time today to be on the podcast. Really enjoyed our conversation and hope to have another conversation soon.
Yeah, definitely. Likewise. Thank you very much for your time. And happy to be here.
Absolutely. This has been amazing.
Thanks.